All right, so welcome back to the Inexperienced Development Podcast. Today I have Fahir from Awesome Tuts here. Awesome Tuts, Awesome Tuts. How do you say it?
I actually call it Awesome Tuts, but actually it is pronounced Awesome Tuts because a lot of people, especially from USA, they're like Awesome Tuts. I'm like, no, it's Awesome Tuts. And I was like, why do you? But then I realized it was my mistake. So yeah.
Yeah, I tried to. What was I? I was using the Google Voice to just search up your thing. I was like Awesome Tuts, and it came up with like some kind of fart videos. It was so weird, dude.
Yeah.
Toots. I don't know why I did that, but so actually today I just saw your video, the game dev versus programming versus web dev. I thought you made some really good points. The main point was passion is like the key. So you want to follow whatever you're passionate about, and you recommend game dev because what? Just let us know a little bit about that. Yeah.
Well, what I touched in the video was exactly that. Like game development is so visual. It's not like, app development is cool. Web development is cool as well. I'm not like bashing they're bad, but game development is so visual that you can just take an idea from your head, whatever you had in mind, a crazy cat following, chasing a dog or whatever, just put it right there. And there you go. You have an idea. And correct me if I'm wrong. I also, made that point in the video. I am sure there are a few examples of that, but not as many as in game development. But what are the apps so small, for example, like Flappy Bird or similar games that are so small that you can literally create in a day? And what are the apps in Android or iOS or web development that are like that, who made a boom in the world that are so I didn't see any. I
don't know any either. I mean, none that are made like so simple, like literally just like putting basically a prototype.
Yeah, they take over the world. Of course, it didn't last like years and years and years, but it was popular for some time, for a year or even two, which is still a lot, and that's why also game development, I find it's really, and for me personally, when I look at these things, maybe I'm biased a little bit because I'm doing game dev for 7 years, but I think it's much easier to start your own business as a game developer than it is with app development. Like, which app would you now create that you can serve to the people, especially an audience that you need to build? But game development, you can create devlogs, gather people around your idea, they follow you, give you feedback. That's the visual part that you don't have with web development and, app development with iOS and Android.
Right, and web development, I mean, literally app development, game development is kind of a subsect in a way of app development, even though it's for computer and app for computer. A game is more of a genre. If you're doing app development, it's so wide. It's like, what kind of app will I make? Like, I'm not going to make the next Facebook. I could try and waste a year on that, but like, what's that going to do? Making games, literally just open Unity, even look at a tutorial or download some scripts and you have yourself something right there.
Exactly. Like just download a few assets and just add your own, download a few templates with mechanics like top-down templates and so on that you have on the asset store. Just add your own assets and you already have a game. And now that you have Bolt and visual scripting, you can easily put something together even if you don't know how to code.
I think Bolt is actually a little more complicated than just C#. To me,
I personally didn't try it. When I was doing Unreal tutorials, I tried their blueprint, which is, natural. You have to use blueprints with the Unreal, and I liked them a lot. I found it really cool. They're saying now that Bolt is similar. It cannot be the same at the moment because, blueprints are here for years. Bolt just came, a few years as far as I know, so it cannot be the same, but they say it's easy to use. But call me old school, but I like the sound of the keyboard when you type the code, when you hear those click, 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 clicks.
It's satisfying. I enjoy it. It's satisfying to write. It's like writing a book in a way. Like you're writing something and then something's happening from it. And
exactly. And of course, I mean, you have more control, even though using blueprints is, it's a shortcut and I'm all up for shortcuts. But now Asset Store is full of assets that you can use. Personally, I use a lot of assets like EasySave. I use that in all my projects to save my game data. Easy Mobile, I use that in all my projects to display ads on mobile devices. Why should I I just buy the asset once and, re-implement it in the same manner I did for all my projects. And that saves me a lot of time.
Right. So that's something I haven't really got into. I've always been looking. I didn't know there was an asset to save, honestly. I've just been doing player prefs and everything like that. Does EasySave use PlayerPrefs to save and everything like that?
No, PlayerPrefs actually are not recommended by the majority, of the community and Unity as well in terms of saving your whole game data. What they recommend you to save with PlayerPrefs is like, I don't know, for example, if the music should be turned on in your game or not, but some sensitive data that, your game relies on, they don't recommend that you use PlayerPrefs because probably if you played a little bit with PlayerPrefs, you can like find them easily and you can edit them right away. Just open a node, in a notepad. Yeah, and just not even JSON, just a notepad, a simple notepad. You can just and edit the values, and there you go. So what the majority I saw they recommend, and Unity had tutorials for that. The official tutorials were like binary IO, and that is what EasySave uses. And it's basically a static class. It's really easy to use. You just create your base class that will be like your, I call it game data, and inside I put, for example, an array of booleans indicating how many levels I have, if they are locked or not locked. I do the same thing for characters. I create integers for score and so on and so forth. And when you want to save, you just simply call the save function, that's that EasySave.save, and you just pass that parameter, your game data object, and it saves it. It's like,
wow.
Very easy. In a few lines of code, you can do that.
Yeah, that's cool. I did follow that Bracky's had a tutorial for binary as well. But what was I doing? I was trying to make like an app for the iPhone, and I wasn't 100% certain if the binary would translate or if I needed to do it a certain way. So that's why I went with PlayerPrefs on that. But it was just...
It will definitely.
What's up?
Yeah, it will definitely work. It will on iOS and Android as well, and on a computer. It works on all systems, and it's really, even that is easy to implement. You can create your own. You can create your own. Your own assets for saving that data. You write it once, you make it generic a little bit, and then you can reuse it over and over again. But what's cool about that? It's it's very hard to hack. People cannot just come into your game
and just get a million score.
Yeah, exactly. And even that, I personally think that is also overrated a little bit, even with player preferences. I would use binary IO because I also think it's a little bit better in terms of performance. That's also the reason why I would use it for my, the sensitive data. But even that, the majority, in my opinion, and from what I saw with my friends and so on and so forth, the majority of people, like over 90% of people who are, just regular users playing games, they will not even try to hack your game. They don't know how that goes. Like the other day, one of my friends called me. He's like, "Hey man, my friend wants to buy a package, some package in PUBG game. Can you give him a discount?" I'm like looking at that message. I'm like, "Dude, there's a local store here called Maxi." I was like, "Man, can you give me a discount in Maxi?" He's like, "No, I don't owe the store." Yeah, it's the same thing. I don't owe that game. How can I give you a discount? This is the knowledge people have about games and how computer work. So they don't know how to do that. Even if they try, they will never know. So even if you use PlayerPrefs, I believe you're safe. And the small percent people that they will hack your game are the people who will not, they will not spend a dime in any game anyways.
Right, exactly. So there's no point that they're not. Not saying that they're not really valid players at that point. Unless
exactly.
It's
This is my point. Exactly. It's not there's no. Why should you worry a lot about that? Because people who crack things like pirate and torrent and download things from torrent are people who will never pay for the things they download anyways. So you don't lose it.
Yeah, you're not really losing a customer at that point. The only thing is if you somehow decide made some kind of MMO that's pretty big. As soon as you start scaling is when you really want to do that.
Exactly.
So it's not game breaking or for other people that are playing.
Exactly. Everybody was in that place, I believe, online who pirated something, who downloaded something from me, who didn't pay it. I also, and even today, I do that, but I do it mainly because if I want to test something, because I don't want to go through the refund process. It's in every store, the refund process is, you get a cancer and leukemia by trying to get your money back. So what I do, I try it out. If I like it, I buy it immediately. This is what I do. And this is what I started doing years ago, because when I got into this world and when I saw how much effort you need to put into create a product and then somebody just comes and steals it.
Right.
It doesn't feel good, it doesn't feel good. So even now, even though I know a gazillion sites how I can download, if I download it, I download it so that I can try it. If I like it, I buy it right away. So in terms of that, the valuable players will be there no matter what. Valuable players will be there no matter. And those who are not valuable, even only if you give them something for free, then they will be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Even if it's $1, they will never buy it.
No, of course not. Yeah, I've run into that a couple times as well. Do you have a big game dev community over where you're at in Serbia?
No.
It's just you and your friend. Do you have any friends or anything?
Yeah, I mean, in my city, because it's relatively small, it has like 150,000 people living here. So yeah, not that much people. And I mean, I have this one friend, Ahmed, that I'm working with on my games, and he is a crazy dude. He has a lot of ideas. He creates these Stenogen skins for Warframe, if you heard about Warframe game. So the most popular skins are his skins. He's really crazy, he has a gazillion ideas, and I want to try them all out, but a very talented dude. And we started working together about 4 months ago. We published 1 game so far, working on 2 more. I had my sister and her husband now. They work with me creating courses, but now we separated. They create their own courses about Blender and 3D stuff and 2D stuff, but they're also working with me on the game stuff. So I'm creating 1 game with them and 1 game with my friend Ahmed. So we're currently working on 2 games that I plan to publish by the end of this year as well. So as far as game dev, it's like 6 of us. I mean, 5 people working now that we collaborate. I have 1 more friend. He has a YouTube channel called Magic Coding, but he stopped uploading. I'm critiquing him every single time. Like, dude, why don't you upload? What are you doing? Upload, just because what people don't get in this field is that consistency is the key. There is no magic. I mean, you can get lucky. I'm not going to say it's only luck. It's also hard work, but luck can also serve, for example, like Danny. He blew up like in 2 years. He did in 2 years what even Brackies can do in 7 years while he was online.
Well, I saw something about Danny is he had like 5 or 6 failed YouTube channels as well. So I guess he was doing it for years, 7, 8 years.
Yeah, he was trying. Exactly. He was trying. He was doing it for years. He was trying, but like still the channel took off really quickly.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Really, really quickly took off. No matter you can have all the experience. For example, I debate that with my thumbnail editor, with my friend who also works with me. We're like, man, we know about YouTube and now how the algorithm functions and all of that stuff. We know more about that than like 90% people on YouTube. But still, we cannot manage to get a video to go viral. It's simply a lot of things.
I think it's the topic and then how you present the topic. Those are the 2 main things. And you need like a really 5-second like intro, like.
And one thing also is what is really important is the audience. I was running ads like a year ago. I was running ads, something like Code Monkey is doing. You probably saw his ads. He's like running them everywhere. I believe those ads attracted a lot of people who, just are there for, I don't know, no reason. And no offense to anyone, but, like, a month ago, 2 months ago, I was getting like my watch time in terms of non-subscribed and subscribe ratio was crazy. Like over 80% of people who are not subscribed were watching my videos. Like 15% of people who were subscribed were watching the videos.
Right.
So that's an issue. I think when Danny himself was presenting his analytics, his stats were like 30-70. So like 30% of people subscribed on his channel were watching the videos. Now, recently, me mixing things up with a lot of these videos has brought that number to 27%. So also that we are figuring it out. I mean, we have a nice funnel set up because I'm in this, like, so to say, business. I mean, it is a business. I'm in this for 7 years, using YouTube with game development courses, now my games. In the meantime, I also hired like marketing experts, people who are at the top, and I spent a lot of money on those people, and I learned a lot. So we have a nice funnel set up. It brings us, revenue and so on and so forth. But if we get more people from the channel, it will be more revenue, and we can potentially expand the studio, get more people, and so on and so forth. Right. So like that's the main goal.
That's awesome, dude. So when you were talking about your friends, you were doing the game development. You're doing like $1 million challenge, right, or something? You want $1 million?
Yeah, we're doing that. I started that challenge like Road to 1 million with game development. What I want to show to people is that you can actually. I mean, I might go to that number, I might not go. But what my goal with that is to show how to build a game development business from scratch, and that it is doable even in these times now when people say it's saturated and so on and so forth. My current goal, like the first milestone that I want to reach, I want to make that business a 6-figure business per year in about 1 to 3 year span. That's my goal. If I make that happen in that time, I'm going to call that a major success.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's going to be a major success because like you go
That's
to
$1
college
million valuation. Like if you want to cut, like you say, you make $100,000 in a year from game design. 10 years, you're gonna have $1 million. I'd say that's $1 million company. That's
yeah. I mean, this is what people don't get. This is what people don't get because people. I see people that come. So, did you reach 1 million? I mean, yeah, it's a slow process. I mean, you go to college for 4 years and then you search a job, which can also take years until you find it. And then you also get, a crappy beginner salary until you need years of experience to get to the point where you can get a nice salary.
Right. Exactly.
And if I can make this happen in 3 years, you can see the difference.
No, definitely, 100%. I think I think the goal just to create some kind of company and have some kind of consistent and show people that is possible, even with just like little mobile games or whatever kind of games you want to make. You can make $1 million. So monetization though? That's the question. Do you plan to sell the games or just do in-app purchases? Or
we have a lot of games in the plan. Like currently, as I said, we published 1 game. We're working on 2 games, but we have like 20 more games lined up waiting for us. Just as soon as we publish these 2, we're jumping on in these 2. So currently we're doing mobile games because I find that mobile games, again, as I said in one of my videos, this is a business. You need to think at it like a business. Maybe my passion is to create some MMORPG, like the best one in the world or what.
Yeah.
But in order for you to get to that point, you need to have a solid plan. You need to have a solid foundation for all that. I cannot work 6 hours a day on my MMORPG if I need to work at a job for another 7 or 8 hours. You can imagine I'm going to be tired as hell. Then I want to sleep and so on and so forth. So I'm left like with an hour a day to work on my MMORPG. But if I create a business that, sustains me and I can, have that business on autopilot, like games, which is if you have games, people are playing them, you just update them and so on and so forth. They're bringing revenue and you have time to work on, the major goals and so on and so forth. So this is what I'm essentially doing. We're creating mobile games at the moment to get the, wheel spinning until we start to earn like a couple of $1,000s per month. Then we will probably move on to, because we plan also to create Steam games as well. So currently for mobile, we're using, I'm monetizing them with ads and in-app purchase. The next 2 games, the first one that we published only has ads, doesn't have in-app purchase. The next 2 games will also have in-app purchase, but I'm using a little bit different approach. I'm not going to like bomb you with a gazillion ads.
Right.
I have the system where you like watch an ad, earn something, but the ads that pop up, for example, they pop up every 5 times when you change a level in Unity. Like when you go from this scene to this scene to this scene, I'm counting that, and when that number reaches 5, then I will try to show you that ad. Now, of course, depending if the ad was loaded or not, it might take even 10 more switches from level to level until the ad is shown. But I'm not doing it like every single 10 or 15 seconds like the majority of ads are doing it. So
Zynga games.
So far I found that to be really that monetization strategy. I found it to be really cool, really profitable. Because as I said in my video, I didn't get that many downloads for the game, but I still considered it a success. Currently it's at around 300 active players, 250, 300 active players, which is good because again, this is a slow process. I plan to make this like in a year or 2 or 3.
Definitely.
This is what people don't understand. They're going to comment, "Oh, your game is a failure." I mean, dude, then you don't understand anything about marketing.
Ask them their game. I mean, what's their game?
Not only that, but like as I said, when I was working with these marketing people, man, we were working for a whole year, providing everything free. Everything. running ads, like just on ads, I spent over $10,000 just running ads during that time. No profit at all. So that after 1 year, I can profit on all that. And that's called marketing. This is what people don't understand. People think marketing is like, oh, I create something, I do some magic, and in 7 days, boom, I can see results. No. There are people who are, for a year or 2 years, they're not selling anything. And then boom, they just do marketing for 1 year, 2 year, and then they sell you stuff, whatever that be, and then they profit. So this is what I'm doing. I'm using all of that, even though that was not specific game marketing related, but the principles are the same. Marketing is the same no matter what you are selling.
Right. And I've actually started doing YouTube ads as well, because I feel like it's so easy to set up, and it's depending on where you're looking, it's like 2 to 4 cents a view, which can convert easily into subscribers if you have something good. So I say YouTube advertising, but how do you advertise your games, right? So like this new game, have you advertised it besides talking about it on your channel?
No, I didn't advertise it with paid ads, but I've advertised it on my email list. I have an email list of I have one email list that has like 20,000 people on it. I have another email list that has like 60,000 people on it, and I have another email list that has like 100,000 people on it. So that is one thing that this is one comment that one dude made on one of the videos about the game, was like, "Your game just earned $3. It was a failure." I was like, no, I created 4 videos for that game. Those 4 videos brought in like a couple of 10,000 of views, so 20, 30, maybe 50,000 views. That brought in like around 10,000 unique people to my channel who didn't know about my channel before. And that brought around 1,000 people on my email list who I can message any time of the day.
Right, exactly. So you have their ears now.
So I considered that game a huge success because, as I said, I have a funnel set up. I'm not just doing it like, oh, here is the link on my download it. No. I'm capturing those people in my system, giving them free stuff and getting them to like me, by following my videos and so on and so forth, so that, when I get to the point where I have like 20 games, maybe they don't like this one that I have, but when I get to the point where I have 20 games, they will like 1 or 2 or 10, and they will download those games.
Right.
It's normal. Yeah. It's normal. I said to that dude, it's normal. And I also have next video for the next week plan talks about that. Like, you cannot expect that everybody will love your game, no matter how good it is. I mean, Grand Theft Auto, one of the best games, but you cannot say every single person who played that game loves it. There are people who hate that game.
Right, there are people who are disgusted by it.
Yeah, there are people who hate Witcher 3. There are people who hate Cyberpunk. Even though those are the best games of all time, there are people who just say, I don't like them. I don't play these types of games. So this is what people need to understand. In this business, you need to train yourself not to take things personally. When somebody says you suck, your game sucks, your videos suck, don't take it personally. It's just their opinion. Right. And that's only one dude or 3 or 10 or 1,000 people out of 500,000 people who watch you. So,
and I think, if anyone who's been on the internet for like a couple of years realizes like they've been that. I feel like they've been that person a lot of like everyone's been that person, the flamer or something at some point in their life, until you realize that it's just like not nice. Especially as a creator, it takes time to really like, once you become a creator, you kind of see like, okay, this is kind of crappy. And I think with the bullying awareness as well, like everyone's been saying like bullying awareness, whatever you would call that, but that's kind of getting rid of the trolls. And in a way, I feel like they're not as prevalent as they were, let's say 5 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, as I said, just don't take it personal. Like, I'm going to use maybe an example. It relates, but it doesn't relate, so to say. I mean, the online gurus like Tai Lopez and those types of people, you can see a million people. You can see a million people online talking about they're a scam. They scam this people. They scam this. I'm not going into that if they're a scam, if they're scam artists or not. But like people are talking about, they're scamming people. Oh, this dude creates a video. He scammed me, or why he's a scammer. He doesn't care about that. He never addressed that. What he's doing, he's working, and he's doing his thing. He's publishing content. It's working for him. He is getting, his main goal is to earn money. So he is earning money during this whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
So why should I care about you? I mean, there was this bodybuilder. He died, Rich Piana. He had a YouTube channel. He was like a huge guy. And in one of his videos, he said like, any attention is good attention, no matter if it's bad or if it's like my before last video sparked a little bit controversy where I put Brackies and Danny and Blackthorn Prawn in the thumbnail. And I was talking about game development is a lie. People are like, these people from thumbnail never said that. I never said in the video that
they never watched it. They never watched it.
Watched it. And some people like, they disliked and so on and so forth. But as I was getting to what Rich said, he's like, any attention is good attention. If you hated my video and you watched it and you commented, that means you took time out of your life to watch my video and hate it and then comment. That's like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no matter how much time you took out of your life, you took that time to watch my video, no matter if you hated it, that will still push the algorithm towards me. And maybe you will come back and watch another video that you like, and then you will like me.
Or just to hate on it again. But yeah, still either way. Yeah. More and more.
As he said, and he ended that, he was like, so I welcome the haters and I welcome them to comment, keep hating, it's making me money. This is what he said. And I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, so you make courses as well, right? So you're not just I mean, it is a tutorial in a way, but it's just like a long form course. Have you found a lot of success in the game dev? Like people are willing to go beyond YouTube and actually pay for courses?
Yeah, exactly. This is what I will try to make this as short as possible. I'm not going to tell my whole life story, but essentially, since I dropped out of college with an idea to start my game studio, and I was studying abroad. I came back to my city, and I had a high school friend. She was doing some artwork, and I teamed up with her. Let's create games, and we created a few mobile apps. I published them online, but that's where I realized it's not as easy. Just create, publish, and there you go. There was something more to it, but I didn't know what was that thing at that time. I didn't have anybody to tell me, and so on and so forth. So luckily, I was smart at that time to find other ways to earn money. Again, talking about going back to, sustaining yourself to be able to do what you love, And some people are like, you're just about money. No, I'm just, I enjoy my work. I love it. But if you don't have money to sustain yourself, that's the reality. If you cannot pay your bills while doing game development in any way, then you're going to get a job at your local coffee shop or wherever that is going to distract you from doing games in order for you to earn money. So what I did is I started to create courses. Of course, in the beginning, they were bad and so on and so forth. But, over time, I saw how to make them better, learned how to edit videos and so on and so forth. And essentially, for the majority of this time, I was sustaining myself from those courses. So definitely people are buying those courses. And again, that is because of the marketing part of building the audience. At that point, I was not aware that I was doing that with my YouTube channel because I started my YouTube channel in 2014.
Right.
2014. But I didn't pay that much attention to it. I would publish every now and then, but still it was gaining traction. I was getting people on my channel and I was getting people from the websites where I posted my courses. And then after that, I opened my own website so that I don't share revenue with those other websites. But definitely people are creating courses. I mean, Jason, also your previous guest, he also has a course and he had a lot of success with it. Don't know with the newer ones. What we talked with one of his course, he had a lot of success. So yeah, definitely people are buying. And again, they're buying because they like you. They like your style of teaching. They like you as a personality or whatever it is because of the value that you are providing. Because I have a lot of free stuff on my YouTube channel. I have a lot of free stuff.
Right.
And a lot of people will also think about it like this. Because of all the free things that you provided and helped me, I'm going to support you now by, at least buying the course, even though if I'm not going to watch it, but I know you will use that money to sustain yourself to continue doing what you do. So definitely there is money into that, especially now in this COVID time and whatever. People are, the majority of people are online. They're learning new things. They're doing new things and so on and so forth. So yeah, that is also one of the ways. Even Thomas Brush now, He saw, you saw
he has the course that he's selling.
Yeah, he was doing. He was like indie for 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, how many years, and now he launched the course. Where I saw that online courses in general are a big deal is where I saw Russell Brunson, and Russell Brunson is a dude who founded a website called ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a website that I also use for my website. The lowest tier is $99 per month. That's the lowest one.
Yep.
And they have over 100,000 people subscribed. Over 100. And that dude is like the CEO and the majority owner of that company. So you can just imagine how many, like in previous year, they earned more than $100 million, that company. And he still creates courses. So what does that tell you? That tells you that you can learn, that you can earn a lot of money in courses. But of course, that is not my main goal. Going back to the game dev, if I manage to make my now called Union Games company, where we create games, if I manage to get that to a 6-figure business in the span time that I talked about, 1 to 3 years, I'm going to quit creating courses and I'm just going to focus on game dev.
Right, and the types of games you can create with that kind of money will just go to the next level. Exactly. So it won't just be Steam games, mobile games, but you'll be able to have like next generation, like PS5 games, whatever's out there, PS6 maybe.
Exactly. And not only that, but like, as I said, mobile has a lot of potential. I don't know, like the game dev community is really weird. Game dev community is really weird in a sense, like, for example, and I'm not using this to justify, but I'm just, stating the point over there. For example, my game Pockey Ninja, we took inspiration from Hunter Assassin and we made it 3D and so on and so forth. People are like, you copied the game and blah, 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 blah. Game development is a field where I didn't saw so much copy pasting in any other field than in game dev. Like 90% of apps on the App Store are just copies of other games, like Clash of Clans. How many Clash of Clans you have? You have King Royale, all of this. They're essentially all same games. How many PUBG games you have? Like a gazillion in the App Store. You have like at least 30 clones of Subway Surfers. They look identical, and all of them have more than 100 million downloads. And people will play, like those people who are complaining about you copy this game will download that game and they will play it. But then they complain you copy the game. Crossy Road is a copied game. There is a game like that, Frogger, that was created.
Yeah, exactly.
It's literally a copy-pasted game with new assets. Nobody said, oh, he copied the game. Again, coming back to what I said, he's doing his thing. He doesn't care. He earned millions of dollars with Crossy Road. What do I care if you say it's copied or not? So this is the same thing. I mean, I will add my own touches. You don't have to make an original idea to, like, again, going back to the business part. You need to look at it as a business. If you try to create, your passion project, again, if you cannot sustain yourself, you don't have a business, it will not work. It will not work. So you need to think like that. So yeah, this is what I find weird when it comes to this game development community. A lot of people will complain about, oh, this is copied and whatnot, but like the majority of people in art, they Pablo Picasso, or who I cannot remember, he said like, good art is steal, great art is copy. Steve Jobs himself, he copied, he stole a lot of things and ideas for Apple that he posted or presented as his own.
No,
like
yeah,
that, like
100%.
like the name iPhone is not even his idea. I saw that one company was like suing them for that name and for the original design of the iPhone 4. So yeah, I mean, and people are like, oh, you copied. I can understand that from one point, but I cannot understand a person who will like download a copied game, play it, and then come to me and say, oh, you copied the game.
Well,
so why do you play it?
In the end, like almost every single mechanic from a game there's maybe there's one or two original mechanics, but most games are literally the same game with different skins. Like as you pick a genre, it's that.
Exactly. This is what I'm trying to present to people. But as I said, people are weird, and I don't want to bash anyone. But in the majority of cases, people who think that way don't reach the levels that they wish they want to reach in life. In the majority of cases, because
they be able to think of an idea if they're not copying.
Yeah, they think too much. Like one person was like, he commented on one of my videos, like, but is it originally your game if you're using assets from the asset store to create it, like EasySave and so? I was like, oh, if you want to go with that logic, you can now say is it originally your game if you use Unity engine to create it? Why don't you create your own game engine and create your game? That's when you can call it, it's my game.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess by that logic, that's 100% true. But I mean, who would want to do that? I'm not on board with that. But I get what you're saying.
Exactly. I mean, using the logic, he said it.
Exactly.
Because there is no game and there is no developer who will like start to create a game right now and he will like, he says, let me create everything from scratch.
Well, if you built your PC, you looked up a copied PC, right? That you've already copied your PC. At that point, you're fundamentally broken. At that point.
Yeah. So Well, also, there was one guy. I don't know if you remember him. He stopped making videos. His channel was called How to Make Mobile Games. His name was Martin. I cannot remember his. But what he did. I started to follow him in 2014, 15, and 16. I believe he stopped making videos in 2018. What he did, he was just reskinning games. And there are still those videos online where he showcases his revenue. Dude, he was like making $1,000 a day. He had days where he earned $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. He was running a successful business. I don't know why he stopped. Probably because he didn't build an audience eventually, because his channel was like at a couple of thousand subscribers at that time, and it's still, so he didn't build an audience. Probably he didn't know how to do that part, but he was just reskinning games and he was earning a living. Now, and I'm not saying that should be the main goal of everyone, but I'm saying if he could do it with just reskinning games, just changing the assets, why can't you do it by just, using a mechanic from another game, adding your own touches, and just publishing it online, and build a business where you can again sustain yourself, where you can get to the point now you can create your own original game idea. But it's really hard to have an original nowadays. Because
I mean, when you pick a genre, right? When you pick a genre, you're already locking yourself into mechanics of the best of that genre. That's what everyone wants to play. They want to see something like that, just your own twist. So I can't see anything against that. I don't say it's stealing. I think it's just evolution.
Exactly. But this is what the community in general doesn't understand for some reason. Right. And this is why I'm fascinated by that fact. But hey, I mean, what can we do?
So how do you think of game ideas, right? So let's say you're before you have your 20 game ideas, right? What'd you do to think of all these game ideas?
Well, that part I have to thank a lot for my friend Ahmed. He's crazy. As I said, he like right now, he almost sold a game to I believe it was Ketchup or Voodoo. One of those two wanted to buy his game. He has a gazillion ideas. But what I do, I usually browse YouTube. I browse the App Store. I also browse existing projects online on GitHub and so on and so forth. For example, the next game that we're creating, I created a few live streams about that game where I created a few things. It's a slicing game where you can slice stuff. The goal is to get the ball to touch the cube, but you can slice stuff in order, if the ball is sitting here, you slice it, it falls down. I found one project on GitHub while I was browsing, and it had a similar mechanic, slicing things, but just the goal of the game was different. And I was like, okay, so we can just use this, add that there, and basically that was that for that game, just cool. Things. So I don't want, as I said, because we're creating these mobile games, I don't want to overthink. I don't want to, spend a month time now thinking about a game idea. That part will come when we are stable, when we stabilize the company, right. That part can come. So essentially that is what I'm doing. But of course, every single day I'm just walking on the street. I think of something, I just quickly, put it in my phone so that I don't forget it about that idea. But I also play games, I play the arcade games, the old ones like Metal Slug 20 years ago, or Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. I don't know if you played those games, but they were on all arcade machines. Yeah. I say in USA, that's still popular. You have arcade rooms, or how they're called. But in my city, that was popular when I was a little kid, 20 years ago. But now there is no place where I can go and play games on those machines. No, there are no, because my city is weird. My city is a little bit primitive in these ways. They're like, oh, that is not old. We don't want that. We want PlayStation and whatnot. But I play like one game is called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs, where you have 4 characters. You have 3 guys and 1 girl. You can select one of them. You can also play in multiplayer, and you go to defeat some crazy scientist who merged himself with a dinosaur, and he became strong and like a dinosaur, and so on and so forth. So these are the old arcade games created like 20 years ago, which essentially, if you take a look at now, that is the source that the majority of apps on the App Store, where they get their ideas from. I mean, going back to Crossy Road and a lot of other games, Angry Birds, they all got ideas from old games from 20, 30 years ago. So yeah, those are the games that I play, even though it sounds a little bit weird. They're like, when I download them, I'm like, it says like 2 megabytes, 3 megabytes.
Yeah.
I'm like,
like 100 kilobytes to play the game. It's just like a little.
Yeah, I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, how did they? I mean, you can play the game for at least an hour. How did they put an hour of gameplay in 2 megabytes?
Yeah, they've figured out the loop pretty early, the gameplay loop. That's like, I feel like that's like the core game loop. Like, can you talk a little bit about core game loops? I feel like that's something that people going into game. I learned about it. I don't even know how I learned about it. It wasn't from YouTube. I don't think that's something people really talk about. Do you know about core game loop, like the concept of?
No, okay, I personally don't know.
Basically, what I mean, this is what some I think it was a video game marketer on Facebook or something. I had a meeting with him or something, and he told me that literally it all like the success of your game comes down to if your core game loop is fun, and basically the entire game will just be the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, with maybe potentially building on it. But I mean, at that point, they weren't building on it. They just had the same thing over and over again. So, I mean, that's kind of the same fundamental. It's always been a principle of game design. It's pretty crazy. Like Grand Theft Auto. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, no. Continue.
So Grand Theft Auto, like you start out in the same environment, and you're getting a gun. You do the same thing. You rob someone or you kill someone. You go back again and again. Same thing.
Going back to the copying in the game dev community, like that's, as you said, it's the same thing. Grand Theft Auto is reskinning Grand Theft Auto for like 15 years now. It's the same game with just new missions and new graphics. It's the same exact game. But every single time it comes out, people are like crazy about it. There is this company, game dev, they create mobile games called Glue. They have those famous hunting games where you hunt deers and stuff like that. They are reskinning that game in the last 5 years. You have Deer Hunter 2015, Deer Hunter 2016, Deer Hunter 2017.
Right.
Basically the same game, just different graphics, and yet people go crazy about it. Right. They download the new version right away, even though it's the same thing.
And so that's a good secret.
So yeah, I mean, that's these people. They are smart people. They figured these things out. I mean, you are allowed to be. I don't want somebody watching this, because I'm also going to share this with my audience on YouTube, so they come and check out your channel.
Oh, cool, thanks.
But what I want to say is, I don't want somebody to think about, oh, you should just, like, I don't know, get templates and publish them online. No. I want you to think about game development as not your passion in terms of who wants to make it as a business. I'm talking about people who want to make it as a hobby. Do whatever you want to do. Like you don't have to listen to all of these things, because you will never need them. You're doing it for the hobby. But if you want to sustain yourself, you first need to build a solid foundation. It's simple as that.
Definitely.
Because, I mean, how old are you?
I'm 27. I have to think about it.
Yeah. So you're like, you have a regular job, right?
No, I was in the Army, so I'm a disabled veteran. So that's my income, but I don't make as much as I'd like. So like I do want to make money from game development, but I'm kind of like not too necessary.
But you still have a certain income that you get.
Right, exactly.
Which is but just imagine this: if you were working as all normal people in the world, if you're working on a 9-to-5 job, so you're working 7, 8, 9 hours a day, depending on where you're standard. In my city, in some jobs you work 7 hours a day, in others 8 hours, and even sometimes you work 9 to 10 hours and so forth. So imagine yourself going to job every single day and you're working for 7 hours. You're tired. You need to rest at least an hour or two after your job. You also need to sleep a few hours. And if you have a family and obligations, how much time you have left to actually work on your game?
Exactly.
Especially depending on which country you live and which job you do, What if you live in a country where you need at least $1,000 a month to sustain yourself, and yet on your job you earn $500? You need to get another job to sustain.
Yeah, exactly.
You have 2 jobs to sustain yourself. How are you going to work on your game in that situation?
Right, and then on top of that, add the 1 hour of game development you get into it. You're gonna get burnt out just because you're working too much. You're working way too much. You're gonna lose the hobby. You're gonna lose the hobby.
Exactly. I even didn't thought about that. So a nice point that you mentioned, like you cannot like work 7 hours and then sleep for another 5 hours and then jump into game development and work 10 hours on your game. It's not how it goes. You're already burned out from the 7 hours that you worked on your regular job. So this is what I'm, especially now of course, I believe that everybody can do it. Everybody can find something online that they can, where everything is now online, that you can find something. It doesn't have to be game dev. Anything that you can do that can make you passive income so that you can, do what you want to do. But of course, not every person will achieve that. That depends on if you are a working person, if you are disciplined, because all of those things need to go together. If you're not disciplined, if you don't have a regular or normal sleep time and so on and so forth, that all affects that.
Yeah.
So this is why I talk about a lot of these things. It might look that they're not game dev related, but in fact, there are game dev related, because what majority of people in the game dev community, at least people who are on my channel, don't understand is that you need to make game development part of your life in terms of your everyday living. They need to be, part of your daily obligations. Same, you pay your bills. Game development needs to be part of that, even though that doesn't make a little bit logic. But again, coming back to the job part. Yeah, because again, you cannot even do it as a hobby if you cannot sustain yourself to have time to do it.
No, 100%.
Then even if you have a small game that could take you, I don't know, a day to create, and if you have all of those things going on in your life, it will take you at least a month to create that game.
And you might lose interest. That's the whole thing, is like you will regret losing interest in it 100%. You will, and you'll be like, oh, I tried it, but I don't like it. But you might like it if you had the time, you had the peace in your life, which you can easily build. It's like being a game developer also, like with everything now with the internet, you have to become an entrepreneur and kind of market yourself no matter what. Even if you just do it as a hobby, otherwise, what are you going to really make? I mean, who's going to play? You're going to play your game. That's it. You're the only one.
Yeah, exactly. You made a really nice point. Even if you want to make it as a hobby, I mean, you probably want people to play your game, but if nobody knows you, what's the point? You're just wasting time.
Right. You're going to play this game all alone and the voice acting, spend $100,000 and 100,000 hours on some baloney.
You're going to give it to your grandma. She's going to tell you, all right, job, my son, and that's everything.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man. So what is your favorite kind of game to make?
My favorite game to make. I have this idea for like years, but of course it's a big game, AAA,
exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
There are no games except like a year or two, a similar game came out, but still it's not at the point where I want it to be. There are no, at least that I know, and I searched online, there are no RPG games where you are a werewolf, where you are a vampire, where you develop your skills, where you can have all the magic that vampires have, where you're Frankenstein and all of those. Like, basically you are the bad guy but doesn't necessarily have to be the bad guy. You can do good things, but like, I want a game where I can be a vampire, where I can explore the full powers of a vampire, where I can, I need to feed on people. I can turn into bats and fly. I can, have some magic and so on and so forth. One similar game came out, Vampire, with the Y, so VAMPI.
Y, yeah.
Yeah. So, but it was not, it's not at the point where I would love it to be. It is going in that direction, but I would make something like open world, like Skyrim or The Witcher. I would make it in that way, but also in like, you would have like, people fighting you. Of course, you can select if you want to be on the people side, human, and so on and so forth. But like being the enemy, being the vampire, being the evil sorcerer, whatever, right. Which there are no games, at least that I know.
Right. I don't know. I don't think so.
Yeah. So cool. That is my dream to create. That is a dream game that I have to create. But of course, that would be something at least 2-3 years in the development that will take that many time to create.
Have you ever created a prototype of it?
No,
Never.
that is just a dream. That is just a dream because
It's a dream.
yeah, that has a lot of a lot of work that needs to get into it. So even for a prototype, it will take a lot of work for that, because it will come with quests, with dialogues, so even a prototype. So again, going back to the whole situation, how I'm setting everything up, it will take me a lot of time just to make a prototype. And I know that I don't have the resources at the moment to go through that game. I don't have the people. I don't have, basically nothing to go through it. So I don't want to waste like a month or 2 or 6 months creating a prototype that I will then just put aside until I'm able, to come back to it. So it will take a lot of time. That's why I don't want to feel like I wasted that time.
No, I definitely understand. I have kind of a similar game about like it's kind of like a time travel mixed with GTA kind of thing. See, I have like a crazy. Everyone has these large scale projects. Just don't touch it. Don't ruin it because you don't want to. You don't want to lose your hope. You have your dreams at that point. So
exactly.
You work on teams with game dev. Do you find it difficult to work with a team as opposed to by yourself?
The only thing that we find difficult is sometimes syncing our project via GitHub, because sometimes I'm like, but of course, that is, in the beginning when you work with a team, especially when you never worked with another person in terms of you and I never worked, and then we now start working. We need to get to know each other. So then we figure it out. Like, I have my own test scenes. I touch those scenes. I don't touch anything else. You do that. Don't touch anything else here, so that we don't get,
the merge conflicts, right?
Yeah. We don't get merge conflicts and all of that stuff. So that is the part that was a little bit tricky for our first game, because essentially, of course, we made it work, but a lot of the times there were deleting of projects and redoing some stuff and so on and so forth. Ahmed, my friend, had to redo at least 20 levels over and over again because we had those conflicts. But then, of course, so now that we know how to do it, we don't have those issues anymore.
So you just touch separate files, and then how do you mix them together?
So now I'm basically like, I have my own scenes that I edit, my own scenes that I do. When I test a certain thing, he was like, hey man, create this or that for me. And I have my own scenes where I do that. He has his own scenes where he creates his own stuff, levels, and the design that he tests out and so on and so forth. So that's how we don't get into conflict anymore. Of course, it comes from time to time. But we finally also figured it out because, I didn't use I was using GitHub on my own. So I never got merge conflicts on my own.
Right, exactly.
So when we then started to use it on 2 different computers with 2 different people, so then we figured out also, like, oh, did you make a change here? No, okay, you can take my, commit. It will not break the game, or take your commit. It will not break the game, and so on and so forth.
So with
but it's definitely sorry for interrupting.
No.
But it's definitely a learning process, especially when you start to work with somebody, you never worked before. It's a learning process. It will take you a month or 2 to figure out how things go,
right,
to set up a workflow. And then, of course, from there on, things get easier.
No, definitely. I think that's good. That's a good way to handle it. So does he write scripts with you? You both write scripts, or?
No, he's a designer. He designs everything, 3D models and so on and so forth. So the husband of my sister, his name is Dino. He also, they are designers, and my sister as well. She's also a designer. Me and one friend that I mentioned that has a channel, Magic Coding, we are coders. But for example, I'm creating now the Slice game with Ahmed. So we are working on the Slice game. And me, my friend Amar from Magic Coding, and Dino, we are working on another game that we call Gravity Control. So us 3 are working on that game, and me and Ahmed are working on the other game. So basically 2 coders we have at the moment, and 3 designers.
So you're saying Ahmed doesn't go in there and mess with the scripts, because that would make me so insane. I'd be like, I don't know where this is going.
What I do, and thank God for those features with Unity, and of course, I also bought some assets. I make everything available to him in the inspector. And I explain to him, okay, you can check this to test this out. You can, edit this here, edit that there. And then he proceeds from there. It's, easier than me learning him or teaching him how to code.
Yeah, definitely. Or like just deleting something very important out of any script. And then you can't find it. You can't find it because everything runs except for one little error. I have another question. Okay, what was the worst project that you've ever worked on?
The worst project I ever worked on. I don't know. I mean, a commercial one I don't have. A commercial
No,
one I don't have.
like even a personal project, like let's say,
Personal.
yeah.
Yeah, I tried. I found one project online, Harry Potter, and I wanted to build upon that one. So that was painful. That was painful because it was really large, and I was surprised that somebody created that big. And I wanted to build upon that just for myself because I wanted to. At that point, I wanted to learn how to read other people's code, and how can I get into a project, especially if you want to work in a company. You're just like presented with a finished project. Okay, get into it and start understanding everything. So I wanted to learn that, and I wanted to build upon that, and it was like crazy because not all projects that you find online are coded well, documented well, and so on and so forth. But eventually I managed to make my way through it, but I didn't manage to do anything that I wanted to do with it. So that was like a complete failure. I wasted like a week on that, or 2 weeks, trying to build my own things in there. But essentially it was time well spent because I learned how to dig into other people's code and understand some script that I never saw before that has a gazillion lines in there, and understand what it is doing. So
right, exactly. That's the most important thing, is like even from the worst stuff you can learn anything. So I think just don't think that just because you're working on something that you're wasting your time. Just try to find the gold in it. Try to find the gold.
Exactly. This is what I try to preach to my audience on my YouTube channel. So no matter what you do, you can get a positive out of that. Even if your game fails, you now understand why it failed and how to make it better next time.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So what's the best project you're most proud of that you did?
The best project is, well, the commercial one is Pockey Ninja. I can say that. But essentially, the best project overall is like, if not directly related to game dev, but I can say like my whole Awesome Tuts brand, so to say, that I have created, because it took a lot of years with the website, with the setting up everything, with learning not only how to code, but how to run all of that, how to, especially not get burned out during all that time, and especially believing that you will get to the point when nobody else believed in you. Mm-hmm. My family, my friends, nobody believed that, and getting to the point where I can now make my dreams come true, where I can actually build a game dev company and live with that, sustain myself, and do that for the rest of my life until I die. That's so amazing. I would say that is the most proud thing that I did when it comes to not directly related to game dev, but still game dev, because everything in my company is around game dev.
This seems like, YouTube channels and YouTube are really the future of indie game dev. So I feel like it's 100% game dev related. I think it's funny that you said no one believes you. That's like the big thing. People think, oh, you're going to make a YouTube channel. Everyone makes a YouTube channel. So like literally everyone is against you the entire time until you really make some kind of presence. So
until you start getting results for the first time, and they're like, "Oh, that really works." But this is what I was telling you this whole time, but you were like, "No, don't." This is also hard for a lot of people. I personally see that with people around me, and I see that with people online. As soon as they get one critique from their mother, their father, no matter their friend, they start to doubt themselves and not believing that they can do that. And that's the wrong way, That's the wrong way.
That's setting yourself up for failure. I think that's like the most common reason people quit too, is like either they don't see the results fast enough, which you start to doubt yourself, right? At that point, you start to doubt your content. No, even if you're making the same content as someone who's working, it just takes time. That's like the big thing.
Exactly. This is what people don't understand. It takes time, and you will definitely fail a lot of times before you succeed, but you need to have the right mentality to look at those fails as lessons and not fails, because essentially there are no fails in life. There is no single person in the world who wanted to make something, build something, create something that made that thing from the first try. That person doesn't exist, and he will never exist until, the end of the world. And period. People just need to understand this. So you need to fail 1,000 times before you can succeed once.
Yeah,
when you have that mentality,
resilience.
When you know that, you are setting yourself up for success. I always say, and even though I hate college and school in general in terms of the education system, but I always say, if you have a goal to get an A on your test, or in my country, the score is from 5 to 10, 10 being the highest. If you have a goal to get to the 10, so to get 10, and you put the effort and the work, and you try and you give your best, the worst thing that can happen is that you will get an 8, or in the worst case scenario, you will get, you will get a 9, or in the worst case scenario, you will get an 8. There is no theory that you will go below that. There is no theory if you put that. So this is the same thing. If you put effort and work and dedication, and you work every day, and you believe that you can achieve, you can create, for example, I don't know, 20 games this year, small mobile games. The worst thing that can happen is that you will create 10. That's the worst scenario.
Right. And 10 polished games. I mean, at that point, it's really all about work, right? Effort is key, because you can make a video, I guess, every day, but if you're not really trying, you're just sitting here like talking to the camera. It's really effort. You really have to put the time in, think about topics, like research what you need to do, and understand it before you can go and make a video, or even anything, make a bunch of games. You really have to understand it. If it looks like just kind of taped together or whatever, it's not worth it. Not worth anyone's time at that point.
Not to break, I'm really enjoying this. Not to break the conversation, but less than 10 minutes.
Your audio cut out. My bad.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
I was like, I enjoy it. It's really. I will have like 10 minutes.
No, and that's good. We're actually coming up on an hour, so that's not a big deal. Yeah. Do you wanna present anything to anyone, like about first, like your game, or maybe?
I mean, just go on Google or App Store, Pockey Ninja. I'm trying to. I'm registering my company as we speak, because Apple, they don't allow me to put Union Games as the person or the company who created the game. So it's my name and last name. So I have to give them papers. So
right. So you have to register your company first.
And you can download or check my channel. I'm also going to share this with my audience so that they can check your channel, because I love what you're doing, and I believe this is really cool, especially bringing people, like Jason, now me. Probably you have other people in line.
Oh yeah, we have some good people. That's pretty cool. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. So definitely, I want people to check this channel out, because I believe they will benefit. And thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on, man. Your YouTube channel's down at the bottom. It's youtube.com/Awesome Tuts. So go check out the channel, guys. Have a good day. Thank you very much. All right, bye.